I remember the fear that I felt when the HR department for my job at that time emailed me and said, I just want you to know that your husband came to the job looking for you. I felt fear because I started to question, is this man losing his mind? Is he going to try to hurt me? Throughout the relationship, I felt neglected. He barely wanted to come to my job. He barely wanted to do anything, especially towards the end. In the beginning, it was all love bombing, right? Lots of attention and affection. But once he felt comfortable, especially once we got married, it was a 10-year relationship. The last 2 years were marriage. That's when he really felt comfortable. When I moved out of state to be with him, that's when he really felt comfortable. And that's when I really got to see someone who was cold and someone who I had to beg for attention and affection. And like I said, coming to my job, surprising, that was never the case, especially towards the end. There was very minimal attention. So I started to feel fearful. This is why I want to answer your question one of you sent to me. Let me read it out to get it clear. How do you find the strength to not answer when your toxic ex shows up at your place or calls you? I'm going to help you to answer that question. And not only am I going to answer that question for you, but I'm going to equip you with what you need to do when these people do show up or when they do call. They love to pop up. And I'm going to explain to you why. And I'm going to give you some suggestions on what you need to do. Because the bottom line is that you don't deserve to live in fear. You don't deserve to live confused. You don't deserve to be distracted with this ongoing back and forth of drama and chaos and conflict. Even if that's how you've been living, even if that's been the pattern in your other relationships, even if that's what you've seen growing up from your parents or your aunts or your uncles, let me be the one to tell you that's not normal. You don't have to settle for that. You can have a peaceful life where you are not dealing with people that's causing you so much conflict. All right? So let's get into it. First, we need to understand the dynamics, okay? The dynamics of what's going on. There's dynamics in everything, right? There's reasons this is doing that, X is doing that, Y is doing that, and we need to understand it because when we understand something, we're then able to change it. You can't change what you don't know. You also can't change what you don't understand, the moving parts. So let's first look at that toxic or narcissistic ex, however you refer to them. Their role, the reason they are popping up at your place, at your job with these phone calls, they want to cause confusion. They want you to start thinking, well, maybe they're doing this because they really do miss me. Maybe this is their effort that they're making. I remember I had a girlfriend and she meant well, but she said, oh, he's fighting for you. But you got to look at the big picture. You can't just look at he popped up at the job. What is he doing when he pops up at the job? What is he saying? What is he doing when he makes these phone calls? How is he following up? Is it a back and forth? There's a difference between someone coming to you and saying, I made a mistake. I am so sorry. Even if you say, don't come to my job anymore. Someone who's truly someone who is truly healthy for you, working on themselves, but respect you and your boundaries, they won't show up again at your job. They won't pop up again because they want to show you that I respect you. I am healthy for me and I'm healthy for you. I'm good for you, right? But these people with toxic personalities, destructive personalities, where they just bring chaos and conflict, even if there's good moments, don't get it confused, right? People who you may consider to be narcissistic, they want to cause confusion. They want you to start thinking, maybe he's fighting for me. Maybe, maybe this is a sign. Maybe I should give it another chance. They want you to be confused about your decision to break away from them. Okay? Another thing they want to do is they want to keep you stressed. They want to keep you stressed. See, when you were stressed, when you were on edge, even if you're not stressed in other areas of your life, maybe you're running a business and it's going well. Maybe you have a good job, a good career. You're handling other areas of your life. But when it comes to the relationship, they want to keep you stressed. They want to keep you on edge, right? Because the more they keep you stressed, I always use that analogy of a wicker basket. Imagine a wicker basket with crabs in it, right? Or mice. I always forget the saying, right? But imagine if you're shaking that, these animals, they know how to claw their way out of the wicker basket. But if you keep shaking it now, they can't get a chance to grasp onto that wicker basket to get their way out of it. And that is the same way these people function. If they keep you stressed, you are now distracted with them. You are now consumed with them. You don't have a chance to catch yourself, to think clearly, right? When all of that cortisol, that's the stress hormone that's being produced inside of you. You can't, even if you are functioning well in other areas, you're not able to still function to your full potential. There are people who are making lots of money, but they are connected to toxic, narcissistic people. So don't think because things are going well for you in other areas that I'll just settle for this because at least I'm doing good here. You can have it all. You can have the whole rounder. Okay? So they want to keep you stressed. This is why they're popping up. This is why they're making those phone calls. And as I said before, they want to occupy your mind so you don't have the ability to see clearly. You see, they know when you get that strength, when you really find out who they are, and not only do you find out who they are, but you get the strength and the clarity, and you start making those internal shifts, because that's how we heal and move on. It's not just by breakup. It has to be mental shifts. When we start doing that, they know it's over for me. I can't play these games anymore. I won't even have access to her. I won't be able to trigger her, right? And if I do trigger her, because we're human, doesn't mean we can never be triggered again, but she has the strength and the wisdom and the discernment to bring herself back. I can't control her anymore, and that bothers them. They want to be able to control. They feed off of being able to control people, to be able to manipulate. It's a game to them. It's fun to them. Peace is not on their agenda. They don't want peace. Okay? So that is another reason when we talk about understanding the dynamics of what's happening so that we know how to handle it, we know how to make the changes. This is their role. Okay? They want to cause confusion. They want to keep you stressed, and they want to keep your mind occupied. They want to keep you distracted on them. Okay? Now let's talk about your role. This is a part that a lot of people don't like to talk about. This is why I always say people have PhDs in narcissism and toxic relationships, but they're still struggling to heal and to move on because we just stay focused on them. But we have to also look at self. That is how you're able to heal. That is how you're able to move on. That's how you're able to trust yourself again. A lot of times people don't trust themselves to even be in a relationship anymore. And what happens is you still end up going out dating, right? Because it's innate that we want connection with other human beings, right? So you say, I don't want a relationship anymore, but you still go out and date. And because you haven't fully worked on yourself, you actually end up attracting the same type of people. Okay? So it's important to look at your role, as difficult as it may be. If you're not able to do it on your own, go ahead and get support for it. If you want support from me, you can go ahead and look in the description box below where there are links to different ways that I can support you as well. Okay, so let's look at your role. First of all, when you ask, how do I find the strength to respond to them or to not respond to their pop-up calls or popping up at my place, my job, my home? First, you want to ask yourself, why do you even want to find the strength not to answer? Because sometimes we ask for something, but we quickly forget when it gets too uncomfortable, why are we even asking for it? Sometimes we're asking for it because we know that's what we should be asking for, but we're not comfortable doing the work to get it. It's kind of like losing weight. How do I lose weight? Really, we all know how to lose weight, right? But sometimes we're not really asking how to lose weight. It's just like, I'm asking because I know I should be asking, but then the work that it takes to lose weight, that's the part that sometimes we're not really comfortable doing, okay? So first you want to be clear to yourself. Take a moment to yourself, or moments. Take out your journal, your pen and paper, right? Why do I want to find the strength not to answer to this person? Write it down. Once you figure that out, and it may be the reasons of, I know this person is not good for me. I've been connected to this person for X amount of years, X amount of months, and this is what I've been going through. I feel stressed around this person. It could be a couple of months. If you feel worse around someone, even if there are good moments, don't let that fool you. But generally speaking, if you feel not great around someone, if you're always questioning yourself, if you find that you don't feel as good about yourself, you're starting to doubt yourself, you have to look at the big picture. And I know this can be challenging to do on your own sometimes. So if you can't do it on your own, that is why I always encourage you to get support, because you don't have to struggle with this. This doesn't have to be your story in the next couple months, right? But ask yourself, why do I want to find the strength to not answer when they pop up, at my place? Because I don't want this person back in my life. Even though it's hard, I know they're not good for me, right? Write those things down. Because what happens is when we get uncomfortable, our mind is wired to change and shift our thoughts to eliminate that discomfort, right? To eliminate that pain, right? So that's why when you write it down, when your mind starts to go in denial, you have it written down. Open that book and read it. Open your journal and read it. This is why I need to find the strength. And once, let me see, why you feel tempted. Oh, the other question is, why do you feel tempted not to answer them? Okay? Why do you feel tempted not to answer them? So yes, you're asking, how do I find the strength? But I think it's only fair and honest to say, I know I should find the strength not to answer them, but what are the reasons that I feel tempted to answer them? Right? Because that's the most comfortable thing to do. That's the most familiar thing to do, right? We are drawn to doing things that's familiar to us, to things that even though we know in the long run is not good for us, we want to do things that feels comfortable in the moment. And in the moment, answering them is the comfortable thing to do, because then we're giving them what they want. We don't have to worry about the retaliation if we set and stick to our boundaries. Right? So ask yourself, what are the reasons that I do feel tempted to go against what I know is the right thing to do, which I shouldn't answer them. I should set boundaries, right? I should let them know this is your last time popping up, or else I'm going to have to get law enforcement involved. I don't want it to go there, but it will go there. This is how you have to set a firm boundary. Is it scary? Yeah, because you don't know how they're going to respond. But what is the alternative? Allowing this person to continue to control your life, making this person think that they have the right to just show up. A restraining order is the last thing anyone wants to have to do, but you have to also let them know, I'm willing to take it as far as it needs to go, right? But first, setting that clear boundary. Don't do this again. Whether you need to change your number, whether you need to block your number, whatever it is you need to do, whether it is you need to collect your money to get an attorney to get more legal support and saying, how do I get this person to stop stalking me? Because some of them will go that far. Some of them won't. Some of them will try. But they also need, a lot of them are bullies. They are bullies. So they need to know that you are about business. You are going to set your boundaries. You're going to stick to it. Okay? Getting a good support system also. Getting people around you that's going to support you. Not people that's going to make you doubt, well, maybe you shouldn't do that. He was good for you then. He did do this for you. He is your children's father. A lot of these people mean well, but they will keep you stuck. They will keep you stuck in a mess. Okay? And you have a choice. You have a choice to say, I don't want this to be my story anymore. Or this will be your story for the next few years, because these people don't stop. They don't give up. In rare cases, they will. Maybe they find a new person to manipulate, control, and abuse. But even then, they may still hold on to you, because the more the merrier, right? So setting your boundaries, maintaining those boundaries, setting up a good support system, and also writing it down. Why do I feel tempted? Am I afraid? Am I afraid of their retaliation? Am I afraid of being alone? Am I the narcissist? Am I the bad person? These are the things that you have to figure out. Why do I feel tempted to answer them when they show up? And then you need to counteract that. You need to then come in with evidence that shows, am I physically, for example, I'm physically afraid of them. Okay, what can I do to protect myself? How can I get law enforcement involved to protect myself? Am I afraid that they're not going to talk to me anymore? Well, what does that mean for you? Do you feel like you will never find someone again? Evidence shows you will. There's billions of people in this world. And yes, it's easier said than done. This is why it's so important to have a support network around you, people around you that can speak life into you, people around you that can bring you back to reality. Because when we go through trauma, we're not thinking clearly. We're not thinking clearly. I remember I was never really a social media person, but when I got out of that 10-year toxic narcissistic relationship, I was even more against social media because I didn't trust anyone. I didn't know who I could trust, who was talking to him, who wasn't. Like, I was just suspicious of everyone. And that's all completely normal. So don't think something is wrong with you. Those are the consequences, the results of trauma. But if you continue to work on yourself, if you create a healthy environment for yourself, you can then start to grow through that, where you can see the world as the world and not just that tunnel vision of, I can't trust anyone. All men are bad, right? That's a skewed perspective on life. That's a skewed perspective on relationships. So your environment, your support network makes a huge difference, okay? So again, your role is to remind yourself of why you want to find the strength not to answer them. You want to be honest with yourself to say, why am I tempted to answer them anyway? What are the reasons that I give into it or I want to give into it? And then you want to counteract that. You want to counteract it with solutions, right? As we spoke about before. So if you feel exhausted, you're either currently in a toxic or narcissistic relationship, you feel exhausted. Maybe you've gotten out of one and you still feel exhausted, because these are abusive relationships. Even though some of them do not put their hands on you, it's still abusive. There's still trauma. Trauma means excessive amount of stress on you, right? You are enduring excessive amount of stress that causes trauma, distress. Okay. So if you feel exhausted, I just want peace. I remember saying, I just want peace. That's how I ended up also removing toxic and narcissistic people that were in my family, because I said, no more. Peace. Yes, money is great. Friends are great. Career is great. Luxuries are great. But none of that matters if you don't have peace. That's why you have people who are wealthy that unfortunately sometimes end their life, right? Because they don't have internal peace. Okay, so if you feel exhausted, you just want peace, you want to move on without wasting more time on dealing with this back and forth, get support. I have a group called Thrive. That is a support group where I give you classes, I give you coaching, and you have direct access to me and the people in the group for that support. I have a course called the Relationship Detox. If you're not ready for a program and you just want to start on your own, that is a great place to start. I call it the starter kit. It gives you everything you need to equip you with being able to heal and to move on. And there's many other ways that I can support you as well. So click the link in the description box below to learn more about those different options. But no, this does not have to be your story. Okay, don't let it be your story. Right now, at the time of this recording, we are in November of 2024. Like, the year is almost over. I just spoke to someone this morning. Everyone I speak to, when I share what I do, they're like, I need that, or I needed that, or I know someone who needs it. It's not a coincidence that we are ending up in these types of relationships, right? You have been targeted. I was targeted, and I had to figure out what were the parts of myself that I needed to change to make sure I'm not a target anymore. To make sure when a narcissist sees me, when a toxic person sees me, they're like, that's too much work. And that doesn't mean that I need to be hard. I need to be cold, right? I can still be the bright person I am, the loving person I am, the uplifting person I am, the loyal person I am. These are all the characteristics that actually attracts toxic people to you. But what will repel them is that you are serious about your boundaries. You are wise about who to give those characteristics to. You know how to be kind, but to set boundaries, right? And you don't have any guilt about it. They can't guilt you. I am guilt proof. I'm human. So yes, certain things will creep in, but I can quickly see, don't let it control you now. Bring it back, right? That is how you start to tweak those parts of you to allow you to heal from the toxic narcissistic experience that you had, and also equip you not to ever fall prey to that again. I hope that this blesses you. I'll see you in the next video.